And this story here has some very, very interesting bits of information that I think give indication as to the overall picture of certain things in relation to the people that I maintain died. Some people still say no one died. I say they did die. Yeah, that's fine. But I just want to go to the third paragraph here. Lawyer Janet Angelwich, who represents five, remember there were 6 deaths, 5 of the victims' families, said they were grateful for the hard work of prosecutors and police in achieving the guilty verdicts a day earlier. So who is she representing? Now this is further on in the article down here. Third paragraph from the bottom, she represents the families of Zachary, Jess, Matthew, Bhavia and Yosuke, but not Talia. Now, that's interesting because I think they probably did have a death staged, and that was Talia's. And I've been alluding to this, and some other people are onto it as well, and I've actually got some inspiration from some of their comments. It's the Rockno and a few others in regards to Burke Street Mark II, which is Sisto. Now, Sisto's dead. There's no doubt about it, and he's getting the state funeral and getting a lot of benefits, especially for his business and his legacy. Now, it's a bit strange that just because someone yelled Allah Akbar, someone gets a state funeral. That just doesn't, there hasn't been state funerals for other supposed victims, but this guy's getting one. So I'm of the opinion that Sisto, while dead, perhaps died of natural causes. I even have I'm going to put together a hypothetical, it's only hypothetical, as to how they could have killed him without and fool his entire family and everybody. It's very simple for them to do. And still have his body at the hospital and they identify him. Yep, that's him, he's dead. But I'll get into that. But it's more than likely he died of natural causes or something's happened and they've decided to use him as a victim, say that he was murdered. But look, admittedly, though, this is going to go to court because the perpetrators also died. That sort of helps a lot. But they needed the murder victim. And I think Talia might be in the same boat. I'm pretty sure she's dead. But like Sisto, I don't think it was due to anything that Jimmy Gargasoulis did. And if you go back to PK's video on the funeral, he made some very good observations there about how sparse it was and, it all looked a bit fake. And the delineation here is that Talia isn't represented by the lawyer of the other 5. So there's a separation there. So, okay, my theory is Talia was meant to have, died, but same way as Sister, she was already dead, but they attributed it to Jimmy. But something went wrong, and these other 5 people who weren't meant to die got killed. So that's why that's my theory now that I've read this article as to the most likely scenario as far as I'm concerned, because look, I think they died. I've been over my video. I've responded to RoboMax. He put up some really good, he did a lot of work. I get a bit humbled when people do so much work on my videos and my comments. I really appreciate it. I look at it, same as AML and a few others have done. Everyone does it pretty much insightful comments. Always get me thinking. I've got to give special mention to RoboMax. And look, I responded to him, and he raised some really good points. It's not beyond reasonable doubt. That's not what I'm proving. All I'm doing is looking at the indicators and coming up with what I think is the most feasible explanation for their results. And that evidence, the information that I put up about Jess Moody, I did say to RoboMax in a comment that in New South Wales, you can't lodge probate without a valid death certificate. And he, in all the work that he did, put up a video, which I didn't see, of how to run through the, which I've watched it now, how to run through the application for probate. But you've got to enter in the details of the deceased. And all of these New South Wales government databases are linked. They would then check with births, deaths and marriages that they have received either from the coroner or an authorised medical person that the person is deceased and has generated a death certificate, even if it's electronic on their system. Because in legislation, you must have, although they do say presumed death in the legislation, I did read that, but this is from, 1898, and I suppose they leave that in case they can't find a body or something like that. So they presume that they're dead, not in the case where, they've got the body and they can identify it and put up a medical certificate. So, look, they may use presumed death. No, but in this, that you'd have to have an excuse for a presumed death. If you went to births, deaths, and marriages and just said, "Oh, my wife's missing. I presume she's dead. I'm going to collect the insurance money. Can I have the death certificate to do that?" They're going to go, well, hang on a minute, hang on. Let's just back it up a bit. We might call the police, and and maybe the police could presume that she's dead, but gee, they wait years and years and years. So that presumed death part of that legislation, that's only a contingency, not normal practice. So look, I believe that Jess Moody died based on the fact you can't grant probate without a death certificate. So anyway, but this delineation between Talia and the other five is very interesting. Now, I'll just have a look at what she says here about going for compensation. If you just go straight to the third paragraph down there, the lawyer says, any action will be directed at the Transport Accident Commission given a vehicle was involved. Well, that's a pretty flimsy reason to going after them, because they would only have grounds to sue if it was just plainly Jimmy's total fault. You couldn't sue anybody. He's been put away and that's it. So it'd have to be for negligence by those people that were involved, which is the police. The Transport Accident Commission, no staff from there was involved that we know of, that were out and about, that are supposed to have been involved, only the police. So already they're protecting the police. Now, the second way they've done it is, look at the top line. Once the criminal case has concluded, the coroner will deliver a finding on a date to be fixed. Questions about police responses, blah, blah, blah. Now, ordinarily, the cause of death is determined by the coroner, and that becomes evidence for the prosecution in the criminal case. Well, they've done it the other way around. They've closed off the criminal case, and now the coroner looks like he's going to be going, or she's going to be going into how they all died, because that's what the coroner does, all the circumstances surrounding it. Now, the reason they've done that is so that if it was part of the criminal case, then the coroner's findings would be put up to the in the court, and those police would be called to give evidence under oath. And they would have been asked specifically, okay, so you're standing there, Jimmy's doing donuts. Explain exactly why you were there and what. And they would just go on with rubbish about how, it was dangerous to intervene, and that's what that's what the coroner's going to do. But that wasn't the case. So under oath, they could be proved to have lied. So everything done by the coroner is just, I think there's legislation that they have to give the accurate information to the coroner and all that, but it's not in a court under oath. There's a big difference. So this, the reason why they've done it asked about is to protect the police, i.e. doing a coroner's inquiry after the criminal case. That's just totally the wrong way around. And this lawyer, she's in on it too, because they're going to have to pay compensation. Anyone can see that Jimmy should have been stopped with road spikes or something, even before he got to Flinders Street. They were tracking him for a couple of hours continuously, and they just let him go. And look, we know that they let him go because they were staging an event. But even in their world, where they make out like, it was all real, which it wasn't, but even so, they should have stopped him, and they didn't. So they've got grounds now to certainly get extra compensation for the wrongful deaths of their people. They can attribute it to the cops. But what they're going to do, though, is not, because they're going to, for some reason, direct it to the Transport Accident Commission. So you can see what's going on here. This is all just a big cover-up. But they're doing it now that the criminal trial's over, and they don't have to give anything under oath. That was, that's why they didn't charge him with any of those offences. What the guy got, he stabbed his brother, he bashed the guy, stole his car. Apparently he did something to some girl, his girlfriend or something, and then he's doing donuts. It was, like I said, about 200 different offences. I didn't worry about all that. They just went after and if you know other cases, the police, if they're after somebody, they'll go right down to jaywalking, you know, if they want to really put somebody away. Even though the offence might be murder or bank robbery, if they've committed other offences on the way, like dangerous driving and whatever, they will throw every single charge at the person. But they didn't do that with Jimmy. The reason was they did not want that staged area up at Flinders Street coming under questioning in a court of law. All right, that's it for this one. This is a very interesting article. It certainly gives up a lot, that's for sure. And even Daniel Andrews said he's got nothing but praise for his police, so they're already going down that path. So, yeah, I thought that was this article gave up a lot about. I think certainly the delineation between Talia and the rest of them. I think that's that tells a bit of a story there that I've already mentioned, and also how they've done the coronial inquiry after the case to protect the police. All right.